7 FM. Today on the Super Morning Show, we will attempt to fill all the gaps in the discourse around the troubled and now jettisoned revised Ameri deal. Very soon you'll be hearing from Pakwesi Anamwasechi, Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security, IES, and Mr. Emmanuel Koyole, Executive Director, Center for Extractives and Development Africa, CEDA. Mr. Koyole and Mr. Anamwasechi are already here. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Hope all is well.
Yeah. And
we thank God.
Good morning to your listeners also.
Great.
Thanks for having us as well.
We'll be hearing more of Mr. Anamwasechi and Mr. Koyole in a moment. But text messages are brought to you by Afrodan, your back must last you a lifetime, and Glyco Travel Insurance Policy. We cushion you for life. Afrodan is offering you today the most comfortable chair in the world, period. The Nightingale Extreme Comfort Chair with over 10 thoughtfully engineered features, especially customized for your health and comfort. So go to Afrodan on the first floor of the Swansea Shopping Arcade and feel this chair. You will be amazed. And the Glyco Travel Insurance Policy provides cover for medical emergency and hospitalization assistance, loss of passports, driving license or ID abroad, loss of checked-in baggage, and so much more. So talk to us today on 055-530-5547 or 020-887-6956. Let us help you plan for a peaceful travel abroad. Glyco Travel Insurance, cut the hustle, all the convenience. Glyco Life, we cushion you for life. Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery has discounted all school materials by 10% this academic year 2018. So parents, guardians and students, look no further. Visit any of our Kingdom Books and Stationery outlets around Ghana and enjoy amazing discounts available from 1st August to 29th September 2018. You can call ahead of time to book an appointment on 0501 40 10 50 or 0302 762101 or log on to kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all stationery and office furniture. We'll take the Joy Business Minute now, and when we come back, we'll hear more from Messrs. Anamwasechi and Koyole.
Good morning, everyone.
It's the Joy Business Minute.
Darrell and Karen here with the top stories.
Banking consultant Nanotwe Champon says there is nothing wrong with government's plan to support local banks struggling to recapitalize. Government has announced its intentions to extend financial support to these banks.
Commercial banks have started enforcing the revised requirements under the Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Laws. The guidelines seek to ensure banks institute measures to prevent their outfit from being used as a channel to finance illegal activities.
The Ayensu Starch Factory, a presidential initiative, has shut down completely. A source close to the company says it halted its operations in April due to the breakdown of machines used for the production of starch.
And the Ghana Free Zones Authority says it is poised to improve the road network at all its enclaves in the country, especially the Tema Zone. Some industries located at that area say the bad road network is a major cause of low productivity.
That's it, and thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Corruption Watch on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. The partners for Corruption Watch are Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Joy FM, Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA, and social media. We are Facebook, Corruption Watch Ghana, Twitter, at CW Ghana, Instagram, Corruption Watch _GH. Our website is stopcorruptionghana.org. The hotline is 055-453-6586 and the WhatsApp number is 055-453-6295. The hashtags are Wanamoni and Ghana Bre. Our Corruption Watch is also sponsored by Strengthening Action Against Corruption Stack. Today we'll feature two of our 6 segments in the show and explain. These are the 2 segments: Anti-Corruption School. Now, the Anti-Corruption School is the only segment we will feature on the show. Now, on Anti-Corruption School, we bring you resource persons to share their knowledge of anti-corruption cases or issues we feature on Corruption Watch in order to deepen our understanding of the issues. We'll attempt to fill all the gaps in the discourse around the troubled and now jettisoned revised Ameri deal. Very soon, you'll be hearing from my guests who are already in studio. Pakwesi Anamwasechi, Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security, IES, and Emmanuel Kuyole, Executive Director, Center for Extractives and Development Africa, CEDA. But before we get into that discussion with our guests, we will bring you a brief chronicle of the Ameri deal. It's almost impossible to ignore the most recent occurrence in the Ameri Chronicles, so we will start from the dismissal of the Minister for Energy. Now, on Monday, the Communication Directorate of Jubilee House released a statement stating or saying that President Akufo-Addo had relieved the Energy Minister Boakye Jarko of his position with immediate effect. The statement indicated that President Akufo-Addo had asked Boakye Jarko to hand over his office to the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, who will act temporarily as Minister for Energy until a substantive appointment is made. So let's listen to Mr. Eugene Ahin, Director of Communications at Jubilee House, confirming the dismissal of Boakye Jarko.
Basically, if you don't know the circumstances that have surrounded the Ameri deal, the President believes that considering the nature of the information that has come out concerning the deal, he believes at this point in time it is in the best interest of the country, it is the best interest of the Ghanaian people, and also it is in the best interest of his administration that he relieves the Minister for Energy of his position at this particular moment. And the former Minister has accepted the President's decision.
We've heard that Mr. Boakye Jarko misled the President. Did that happen?
The final deals as to what led to the President in his decision would have to be for another conversation. I don't know where that information is coming from.
Now, on the substantive matter on the Ameri deal, will the original document that the committee in Parliament had rejected, will it be sent back, or government is, as of now, stepping down that document entirely?
Yes, from the little I know, government is stepping that document down entirely.
But has a decision been taken on what to do with the existing Ameri deal?
I wouldn't be able to comment on that. A decision has not been taken on it as we speak. And if that is done, definitely we'll let the Ghanaian people know. And definitely we'll let you know as well. But as it stands now, I'm unable to comment on it because I don't have any information to that effect.
Has there been any names yet in terms of the substantive ministerial position for the energy minister that the President may be considering already?
No, the President has not disclosed any name to me. I don't think he has disclosed any name to anybody. All he has done is to call the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. John Peter Amewu, to his office to inform him about his decision to let him act as Minister for Energy. And that's what has been done now.
That was Communications Director as the Presidency, Eugene Ahin, confirming to our Evans Mensah what we've known since yesterday. Or the day before yesterday, I should say. So let's get a background of how we got to this point. To help us do that is Raymond Aqua.
So, Daniel, we know that in February 2015, the government of Ghana, represented by then Power Ministry, entered into an agreement with the African and Middle East Resources Investment Group, Ameri Energy. Now, we know that the deal received parliamentary approval on 20th March 2015. The agreement allowed Ameri to build, own, operate, and transfer what we call the BOOT, a power plant, by installing 10 new gas turbines and all related equipment. Now, the contract included the provision of certain services related to the operation and maintenance of the plant for 5 years to provide a guaranteed output of 230 megawatts of power. The cost of each of the 10 units of the plant was $850,000 per month, totaling $102 million per year and $510 million for 5 years. It was agreed that government will own the power plants after the end of the 5th year, but subsequent details suggested that the government may have been shortchanged by Ameri as they have allegedly presented an overpriced budget. In February of 2017, when the APP government took office, Mr. Boakye Jarko inaugurated a 17-member committee to review the Ameri power deal. Fast forward to about a week ago, Parliament by consensus decided against the approval of a revised Ameri power deal. We were later on to learn that President Akufo-Addo had supposedly been misled to give his backing to this particular revised deal.
Many thanks to you, Raymond Aqua, for that brief chronicle. Now, like I said, my wonderful panelists are here to help us get a deeper understanding of this deal. Emmanuel Kuyole of CEDA, the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, and Pakwesi Anamwasechi, Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security. Let me begin with you, Mr. Anamwasechi. First of all, walk us through this Ameri deal.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I think our brother Raymond have done an introduction of this deal. If I have to start from the 2015 period, we all understand that we had a blackout which distorted our social life and brought productivity down as well. And so the past government introduced an emergency plan and invited in Ameri Resources to come in and help. They equally brought along with them Ameri Equipment Limited, and then also Metca. They introduced them into the fray so that they will also run the plants on their behalf. And so that's what we understand from 2015 blackouts. But you see, the type of equipment that we're talking about is the aeroderivative gas turbine plant. This, as the name implies, this plant is adapted from aircrafts. And so they are very light and just that they are quick to construct, and their maintenance cost is really high. And so it cannot be treated as a base load generator. That's what we know. And for that reason, the Ameri plants will only be used for peak shaving and stabilizing any instability that comes into the grid system.
And what does that mean, peak shaving?
It means that if at a point in time, the base load generators like other plants like Asogli and the rest, if they are not able to meet our peak demand, then of course this emergency plant will be introduced to shore up the output and probably meet our demand as a people. So in brief, this plant is an emergency plant, and that's how we can treat it. The terms were equally given that because they were lighter equipment, they come in smaller units, and the size was about 25 megawatts per unit. And so they introduced 10 units, and that makes about 250 megawatts. And for every equipment, you can't have 100% efficiency. And so the output that was guaranteed was 230 megawatts, and also guaranteed that 90% availability of the plants. And the total payment per year for the first 5 years, we're going to pay off the plants. And they agree that for every year, we're going to pay about $102 million.
Okay.
And so in 5 years, we'll have paid for, let's say, $510 million to defray the cost of the plants. This is what we know. We are 2.5 years into the first phase of the agreement. It's a 20-year agreement. We've 2.5 years into the first phase, which is the 5 years, and we have only left with 2.5 years to go to the end of the first phase. And at the end of the first phase, the 5 years, the plant become ours. And so we choose to decide what we do. And so this is the Ameri plant we're talking about. But then just like Raymond said, in 2015 when it was introduced, there were accusations, there were claims that it was bloated. And for instance, IES, we even had a concern about the period of contract, 20 years for an emergency situation. And they came explain that, look, after 5 years, we'll own the plants. But we still had questions because we had other plants that were in the offing to come on stream.
Okay.
And so why take a plant that might become idle in future? But then what the current government promised is that when they are elected, they will review and seek value for money for us. That's what we know of the Ameri plant.
Great. Let me come to Mr. Kuyole. I'll take the last sentence that Mr. Anamwasechi used.
Right.
How would you assess that value for money analysis that has been done so far? If you can do a value for money analysis of the deal.
You mean
that was revised? Yes, the revised deal.
Yeah, so just picking up from where my good friend ended off. So, yes, and the main controversy with the current deal as it is, not the new one, the current one, because that is what is still in place now, was around the fact that the figure of $510 million may have been bloated by $150 million. And this was partly because at the time, there were, quite a lot of assumptions. And I mean, the current government's position plus a couple of others was that, look, if you went to the market to buy this plant, it will cost us about $360 million. And the previous government argued that, because of subcontractors who were involved, like Medcar and a couple of others, and the work that they have to do was going to cost us an additional $150, and that's what brought the figure to 510. So there was this controversy. Now, as Raymond indicated, when the government took over, two important things that he probably didn't touch on was the fact that beyond the minister setting up a committee, there was also, you remember the Addison committee, who flew to Dubai, and the issues about even Ameri's involvement in co-funding that trip and the related issues. There were also the fact that Honorable Katie Hammond had to raise this issue in Parliament, try to get the Parliament to step down the agreement. That didn't also go through. And then the current Attorney General, interestingly, had to pass a legal opinion on it and said that everything was okay. So we have this background to this discussion that we are having with this new. And so since you asked for the value for money, maybe I just stick to that. Because one of the things was that if the cost of the equipment at the time could be 360, because that was the argument of the government at the time, why would we try and present a new bill for the same equipment that was going to cost us about $1.2 billion? So it doesn't really make sense. The maths doesn't add up. But if you go into the details...
Was the $1.2 billion for the cost of the equipment in the new arrangement?
No. What it is that, so we have... there are a couple of things that led to the 1.2. First is that if you read the memorandum and then the contract that the minister presented, there are a couple of issues. One of them is the fact that in calculating the tariff that was used, there were some wrong assumptions made and figures presented. One of them is that just this March 2018, if you remember, the PURC had to issue new tariffs. And this came during the discussion about reducing electricity charges.
Yeah.
And so that pronouncement by PURC touched on the tariff charges of Ameri as well. Reduce it from the previous 14 point something to 12.119. And that's the argument, one of the arguments.
Cents per kilowatt hour?
Yes, that's one of the arguments that the VRA staff are making. So in calculating this new deal, there was no need, in fact, there was no basis for the minister to use the 14.7 or so.
79.
Yeah, 14.7. He should have used the current, which is which is the new tariff that VRA is paying to Ameri. I hope you understand that. So that's one. The second one was the claim that
I have a question on that score.
Yeah.
Has Ameri received money from VRA since this government took office?
Well, they have, but there are still some debts to be paid.
Okay, I'm asking this because when the Ministry of Energy made its position known on this, they let us know that it's not really 2.5 years that are left to pay; it's 3.5 years. Because since this government came to office, there are some arrears of about 1 year that have not been paid. I want to know that are those arrears going to be calculated on those 14.79 cents per kilowatt hour, or is going to be calculated on the new tariff arrangement, which was made just this year?
Well, we need to know that. But you see, let's not get into the semantics of whether it's left with 2.5 years or... The agreement that was signed was for 5 years, and it's up to 2020. So the fact that the government owes Ameri and not pays does not automatically extend the agreement. It's just that the government owes Ameri and has to pay.
I was just asking
So-
that in terms of how much we have to pay. I'll
Yeah.
bring Mr. Anamoah Sechi in
Yeah,
in a
but
moment.
let me just add a
of
few
how
things
much
on the
as
on the
regards
value
the
for
tariff.
money.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the second issue was the claim that the government of Ghana had waived part of the point that we are talking about, some of the outstanding debt of 52 million. But when you actually read the document that the minister submitted, there are contradictions in there. On page 4, where the minister makes the claim, when you go down, which is again another point that VRA makes, on page 5, 3.0, page 5, the same document says that Miscellaneous, who is the new company, is going to pay that debt. So how can the new company be paying a debt that the government has agreed to waive? So that's the other contradiction. The third and important issue is the savings. The savings and how the ministry arrived at the savings of the supposed $405 million. If you look at how they arrive at that, the way they calculated the capacity charge is very problematic. Because if you look at the current agreement we have with Ameri, as he said, in the first 5 years, we had a certain tariff charge of 14.7. It's 14.7 because if you read the agreement, you see that they also included the equipment cost to it, because we are going to own it at the
So
end
if
of
you are
5.
paying the 14.7 by 5 years
Yes,
time,
and then you
we
own
would
it.
have bought the
Great.
equipment.
So
Yeah.
if we bought it at the end of 5 years, it means that subsequently, every following year, you don't have to pay for the equipment again because you now own it. So you have to deduct that. And that comes to about 4 point something. So if you deduct that, you actually be left with 1.3. That's what you'll be left with. So
No,
whatever the minister...
10.3.
1.3.
If you deduct the capacity charge
yes.
from the total charge,
yeah,
how much will be left?
You'll be left with 1.3. It was 5 point... the capacity charge is 5.6.
Okay.
So if you divide the 4 point...
Okay, that's the cost from the
1.3.
capacity charge.
Yes,
so the
precisely.
new capacity charge will be 1.3.
That's
Okay.
what it is. But the ministry didn't do that. What they did was simply to take the new, the 5.6, work it across for the 15 years, and then take the new proposed capacity charge of 3.8, work it across. If you do that maths, you will get 400 plus, and it looks like savings, but it's actually not. So the other issue is that in terms of value for money, the calculations were simply wrong. And you wonder why, because if you listen to the minister's, one of the, his very first statement during his, in Parliament, when vetting, he said, he acknowledged the fact that in this particular industry, especially in the power sector, we have some of the finest engineers and knowledgeable people. And I agree with that, because VRA in particular has been around for a very long time in terms of our sub-region, if you compare and look at other countries. So we have some of the very finest brains in there. And I wonder why a major important issue like this, that some of those finest brains will not be brought on board.
Okay,
so
Mr. Kuyole.
in terms of value for money, there were simply a lot of errors in the calculations.
I want to get those three issues.
Right.
I want you to just touch on those three issues so that we are very clear. The last one that you mentioned was the savings that was mentioned of 400 million.
Yes.
You believe those calculations were not made well?
Yes.
Because the capacity charge used in those calculations was 5 point for the initial agreement was more than 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
Yes.
However, that capacity charge would not have stayed the same for the 20-year period.
Precisely.
It would have changed after 5 years to about 1.3.
Yes.
Okay, and the second one you mentioned.
So the second one I mentioned is that the claim that the GOG had waived some $52 million.
Yeah.
And then you read the document and you see that Miscellaneous is now supposed to pay in the same document. So you don't really get it. The other one is the
tariff.
The tariff issue. Yeah.
Yes, where you believe that, of course, it was stated that by the ministry that the tariff for Ameri had been reduced by government already when PURC was issuing its new tariffs.
Yes.
But the tariff that was used in calculating this was the
old
one.
Yes.
Before it was reduced by government.
Yes.
Those are the three main issues.
Yes, but there are a few others, but because of time.
Yes, because of time, let's stick with those three.
Okay.
Yes, let me come to you, Mr. Anamoah Sechi, and looking at these new arrangements that we have seen some of the grey areas with. What are the basic differences between the old one and the new one?
Well, I think that I want to question the process that was followed first in arriving at this new or the proposed agreement. You see, when you want to assess something and seek to correct it, what you need to do first is to do a desktop survey. And so if they had done a desktop survey, they will realize that this type of plant that we are running is not the first of its kind in the country. During President Kufuor's time, he introduced one from Semen Engineering. You remember we also had some power blackouts during this time.
Yeah.
And VRA were the first black crew in West Africa to run such a plant. And so it means that we have capacity. The next thing that they could have done is to do engagement with parties that are really close to some of these arrangements and this plants. And so we asked, did they engage VRA very well? Did they engage civil society groups? Did they engage technocrats? What was the recommendation from the directors of the ministry? These are all questions that we need to look at. But the process that was followed, good. It was good that they started with Mr. Addison's committee. What happened when they traveled to Dubai? At whose expense? From the moment we heard that it was Mary who footed the bills, our fears were heightened. And so we began looking at all the way we were tracking what was happening.
Why? Why were our fears heightened?
You see, you are supposed to investigate somebody. And assuming you're a policeman, to investigate Daniel, and I'm coming to investigate you, and you foot my bill, my taxi, you give me accommodation, you give me food to eat. My brother, what am I coming out with? Already, I am compromised to some extent. And so I think that there were questions there. And so it heightened our fears. And we track all the way to the point where it got to the president's desk. Under normal circumstance, some of these arrangements should have gone through cabinet. It ended on the desk of president with the understanding that parliament was rising. And so he has to give an executive approval or order. And he did that through the president's secretary, executive secretary, Nana Asante Bedietu.
Yeah.
A very good lawyer. I'm sure he understands the protocols. He understands what documents are required to support a document that's required an executive order. Did he get any document supporting it from PURC? If they have gotten that, they will have known that, look, we are not going to use the 14.1579 US cents per kilowatt hour tariff, but it's been reduced to 12.1190 US cents per kilowatt hour. There was no such document. We also understand that Attorney General, because it has legal implication, that's the first point of call when you have to do such agreements or contracts. They're also not in the known, and also Finance Ministry. And so when it got to the desk of the Joint Finance and Mines Committee in Parliament, they queried all this. What good work was done in this process? So I think that the approach that was used to revise it was equally flawed.
Okay. But you were going to tell us some of the differences between the first and the second agreement. The new agreement and then the old one.
Good one. Let's start with timing. When we were doing the first agreement, the time that we were doing it, we were in crisis. And so we had less power, and we needed to introduce an emergency power to show up output for us to have enough power to do our businesses and go about our social life. Time has changed. Today, when you look at the ministry's own report, at the end of 2017, we have an output of more than 3,700 megawatts, and we're consuming 3,200, so there's surplus. And so when you're going to revise this agreement, you come from the point that times have changed. We don't have deficits, we have surplus. That's the footing that you need to start from. And so it informs your decision going forward. And they come with the tariffs. They've forgotten that we are in 2.5 years into the first phase of Ameri. And after the next 2.5 years, we own the plant. And so your capacity charges are going to be different, entirely different, just like my brother Emmanuel mentioned. We are going to be paying, after the next 2.5 years, about thereabout US cents per kilowatt hour for the capacity charges. And for the tariffs, we are going to be paid, according to documents, about 10.147 thereabouts. But because they have been reviewed, it's been reviewed by PURC, we're going to pay something less than that. And so if the minister is going to inform Parliament and President that, look, this is the average tariff that is proposed by Miscellaneous, and this is the average tariff that we are paying currently, you need to inform me very well, because the average tariff we are paying today, or when you put the first 5 years and the 15 years together, the average tariff will be less than 10. It will be less than 10 US cents per kilowatt hour. And he said that Miscellaneous will charge 11.7 US
So
cents.
that's one difference that he gave.
Because he
Miscellaneous
used
will charge
14.
11.7.
And he used the first 5
Right.
years rate,
Right.
14. And so it means that from 14 to 11.7, he thought he had made a savings about 2.8 US cents per kilowatt hour, claiming that then, after 15 years, we are going to make a savings of $400 million. Since the bases are wrong, any claims are equally flawed. And so we were not going to make savings. We were rather going to make losses. And so the difference is time had changed, and tariffs had also changed along the way, and will change as we progress as a country.
Right, you're still listening to the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. A very, very interesting discussion we are having here with Pakwesi Anamwa-Assechi. He is the Executive Director for the Institute of Energy Security. I'm also here with Emmanuel Kuyole. He is the head of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa, CEDA. We'll be delving a bit deeper into some of these vexed issues when we come back from these important messages.
What's your thing? Corporate guy, shirt and tie, heels and scarves? You got to meet those KPIs, buddy. Appraisal is coming up soon. Pressure! But as we say, because we go die, we no go sleep. What's your thing? Friday night out with the buddies or the ladies, bonding over drinks and gossips. Find you at Kiki Biso Corner. Kwesi Artist Grind Day blasting through the speakers. Dreaded Monday, couple of days away, no fears. Work hard, play hard. Hashtag journey to the top. Let's do your thing. Stanbic Bank. Moving forward.
I am Dr. Acacia. Acacia gives your workers the best customer service and treatment options when the need arises, keeping them healthier and more productive for your business. Acacia Health Insurance. We place value on those you value.
Same great bank, helping you grow.
Do you have challenges transferring money to your friends or customers with accounts at other banks? Are you worried at the delays with other banks' checks you deposit into your account? Do you have challenges paying your workers or suppliers instantly across banks? You don't need to wait for 2 days anymore. Walk into any ADB branch today and send your money instantly to any account in Ghana, or link ADB Instant Pay to your accounting software for all salaries and payments. You can also access ADB Instant Pay service on our mobile banking app, internet banking, and *767#. ADB, truly a Greek and more.
Join the Laughgasm Fiesta with the best of African comedians at Glow Laughter Fest at Fantasy Dome, Pavilion F, Trade Fair Center, Accra on 12th of August and 9th of September, featuring Basketmouth, Bovi, Salvador, Senator, Dan the Humorous, Chemical, Shaylo, Godons, Jacinta, DKB, and Foster Romanus. To gain entry, just dial *5301# and use 20 Ghana cedis on voice or 30 Ghana cedis on voice and data within 30 days. Glow Laughter Fest. Don't miss out.
The Grandmasters of Data. Glow Ghana.
If you swipe your First National Bank Gold or Platinum Visa debit card as much as Kwesi does, you'll earn so much free money, you too will be laughing all the way to the bank. Earn free money every time you swipe your First National Bank Gold or Platinum Visa debit card. Money does grow on our tray. This is not a promotion. It's a First National Bank thing. Terms, conditions, and rules apply. First National Bank. How can we help you?
Would you like to change your home or office from the ordinary to the extraordinary? Are you tired of messy POP finishings that's heavy to work with and time-consuming? Then Trelidor Decor Range is your answer. Trelidor is the approved supplier of NMC, the world's largest manufacturer of polystyrene cornices, skirtings, ceiling roses, and wall decor panels in the world. Our product is not POP. It is extremely lightweight, flexible, waterproof, fire retardant, and very easy to transport. 5 times faster to install than any other POP products. Call Trelidor Decor today on 0561 24 24 24.
There is a bank in town, solid and strong, giving you the service you desire. It's Commerce Savings and Loans. We give you financial security you deserve through our Susu account, church account, fixed account, kiddie account, and many more. Our duty loan for churches, asset finance, federal loans, and others have interest rates that are perfect for any pocket. At Commerce Savings and Loans, we make life convenient for you. Make payments on all mobile network, pay for DSTV, mobile money, TV license, and many others. Call us on 0302 767 827 or 667 783. Commerce Savings and Loan. We offer you a relationship beyond.
Coffee in your cup and Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
What you say now? Squad alongside Man and Morris, Babyface. What you say now?
27 minutes to the top of the hour here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. I am Daniel Dazi and I'm here with Pakwesi Anamwasechi. He's the Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security. And also Emmanuel Kuyole. He is the Executive Director, Center for Extractives and Development Africa. We are talking about the Ameri deal. So far, we've laid out the first deal. We've gotten a bit of background. We've talked about the differences between the first deal and the second one. We've given what the value for money issues are with the second deal. Now, this is what led to the sack of Bwache Jako, Energy Minister. So today, we are crossing all the T's, we are dotting all the I's, we are covering all the gaps. When we come back, when we continue, we'll be looking at the way forward, what is expected of government as regards this particular agreement going forward. But before that, let me tell you that First National Bank will reward you whenever you use your Visa, Debit, Gold or Platinum cards for transaction online and on point-of-sale devices. So money does grow on our tree. All you need to do is get your First National Bank Gold or Platinum Visa Debit card ready and start swiping from Monday, June 18 and earn some cool cash rewards in your savings pocket. This is not a promotion. This is the First National Bank thing. First National Bank, how can we help you? Sign up to my own pension plan with United Pension Trustees by going to your MTN mobile money menu by dialing *170# on your phone. Select option 9 for pensions and insurance, then option 1 for my own pension. Then you select option 1, enroll and follow the prompt. Make daily, weekly and monthly contributions to build your wealth with United Pension Trustees. For further inquiries, call our customer service center on 0242 436 880 or 0302 208042. My own pension, pa. Now connect to DSTV from wherever you are on up to 4 mobile devices with the DSTV Now app and the Vodafone Showtime bundle from only 1 Ghana cedi for the daily unlimited bundle. That's right, DSTV for 1 Ghana cedi. All you need to do is be an active DSTV subscriber, download the DSTV Now app and dial *900# to access the Vodafone Showtime bundles. Call 0302 740 540 for more information. Vodafone, the future is exciting. You ready? And DSTV, feel every moment. You no longer have to worry about the stress of shopping for your wards. The Joy FM Back to School Fair brings together all vendors under one roof. And if you're looking to enroll or change schools for your child, there will be reps from various schools to provide the relevant information to help you make that important decision. The date is Friday 6th to Sunday 8th of September 2018 at the Providence Events Center, adjacent Auto Chill Trade Fair La. Come along with your kids to have fun and meet your favorite presenters while you shop. Admission is free. For further inquiries, call 054 010 6466 or 054 011 0389. The Joy FM Back to School Fair is brought to you by Nataraj by JK Industries and Investments Limited. Nataraj, easy to erase and sharpen. So let me come back to my guests in studio. I'll begin with you, Mr. Kuyole. I ended with Mr. Anamwasichi. So, given what has happened now, how do you think that the dismissal of Mr. Boakye Agyarko will impact the agreements? Because even in its current form, as you were referring to the current agreements, that's the old one.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's scandalous. So how do you think this dismissal will impact it?
Well, that's why I think, it's important to we started, walking ourselves through where we where we are. There's no agreement so far as we are concerned. So there's no new agreement. The only agreement we have is the 2015 agreement.
That's what I'm talking about. That 2015 agreement is referred to as scandalous by a lot of people. This findings of the Addison Committee.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So the point is that if you're going to change it, a couple of things. It's just one thing is if you're going to change it, we have to acknowledge, which we didn't talk about, is that this is 2018. The context itself, the energy production context itself has changed in Ghana. And one major change that is happening is that between 2015 and now, because of the challenges we've had, there's a lot of power purchase agreements that have been signed and so on. Now, two major power plants are supposed to come on board by 2019, Amandi and Early Power. Now, if those power producers come on board, what it means is that by 2019-2020, actually, those two plants are supposed to be efficient plants. And so we will not need even Ameri. So after the 5 years, we probably don't even need to continue to use it because of its challenges and that we have spoken about.
The fact that it's
we'll own it.
aeroderivative.
It will just be there and probably just be a backup, when we have a challenge and you bring it on. You don't need to run it to incur any cost. So that's the most important change that is it's happening in the context that we have to take note of. So having said that, it means that what do we do with this? Now, if you cannot change it and bring the tariff down and make us get anything better than we got in 2015, why touch it? After all, we are left with 2.5 years to go. So if you cannot provide anything better than what the 2015 agreement, which I agree with you, people have issues with, then why change it? Because we have 2.5 years to go. If you are going to change something that was supposed to cost 360 and then burden ourselves for the next 15 years close to $700+ million debts, why do we have to do that? We should rather spend the time and the resources we have to bring on board some of these new plants that we are working on. Now, when they come on board, Ameri by 2019-2020 will be just a backup plant. We don't have to run it because it's very expensive. And part of the reason it's expensive is what my colleague enumerated earlier. It's an inefficient it's the plant, but it was done for purpose. It's an emergency plant, and we needed it at the time. We have gone over those emergency moments. So what we need to do is to secure ourselves going into the future.
So you don't think that the arrangement as it is now should be changed?
I don't think so, because especially if we are going to change it and present ourselves with this kind of arrangement. Remember that part of the reason that has brought us to where we are in terms of our energy generation capacity challenges and so on, it's also the fact that the various agreements that have been signed by various governments, some of them have really not helped us build the institution. So this one is a very clear example where you have projects that you are supposed to be working on, and I've given two examples of them, Amandi and Early Power, to come on board. So that should be the focus of government.
Let me come
by
to
the next 2 years, we don't need Ameri, we just pack it and use it as and when they need
as an emergency plan.
Yes.
Great. Let me come to Mr. Anamwasichi for that one. Do you agree with Mr. Kuyole that even after the sacking of Mr. Boakye Agyarko and everything, we should leave the old 2015 arrangement as it is?
You see, Daniel, in his introduction, he did mention that the Attorney General has given his legal opinion on this, and she has concluded that there is no problem with the existing agreement. From that moment, if you want to touch it, you need to be very careful, because the very person that you need to go resort to when there's any legal challenges is saying that it is okay. What do we have to say? And so just like he's stressing, if they cannot make it better, just leave it as it is. Let's finish with the 2.5 years and own the plant and decide what we do with the plant.
Is there no way that we can make it better? We heard of the 150 million overpricing that was found by the Philip Addison Committee. Even before that, the Norwegian newspaper VG said that this will not cost 360. This could actually cost $220 million.
You see, any attempt, any initiative taken by government to really give us money, we support it. But the point here is this. When the Philip Addison Committee went to Dubai, what did they come with? 150 million we all claim is bloated. What did they come? What was the advice? What was the suggestion? What did their investigation come out with? And what type of negotiation did they do with Ameri? Could they not have sat down with Ameri and say, look, we're in a very challenging moment. We've given you this as commission, almost about $150 million. But look, we are stressed. We couldn't have paid that. Please, for us to move forward, do something about this. Let's engage. And so there will be some form of mitigation that we could have. We didn't see this. And we would have loved to see this because every savings is for us as Ghanaians. And we tend to enjoy it because higher capacity charges result into higher electricity tariffs as well. And you and I suffer for that. But where we have come to, if there could be another committee that could sit down and give us our money's worth, we support it. Because in the first place, what we see circulating in the on social media, that Ameri was not engaged in the renegotiation. If it's true, then it won't be too late to engage them. It won't be too late. And so if we could start all over again, we'll be glad. But if we cannot make it better than what we have, let's leave it and complete our 2.5 years.
Mr. Koyole, you agree that there's an opportunity to sit with Ameri and speak with them?
Well, why not? I mean, these companies are business entities, right? They supply energy products to states, institutions, and governments, and we are in this case, we are partners in this. So there is always opportunity to discuss. But the point I'm making is that, and that's why I like your introduction to this, to walking us through the beginning and where we are. I mean, we've gone through a process. The issue about the 150 of the current deal, the overbloating, a lot of these are things that we have all said. But when it comes to contracts, you have to reduce all these into numbers on paper. And so one of the things that, as he said, would have been useful is that personally I haven't seen the lawyer Addison Committee report. It would have been interesting to put that report out there so that we can all interrogate the figures and come to understand how that $150 million...
Do you have any reason to doubt that the $150 million is not really the figure?
I'm just saying that the issue of the game is evidence here. That's what I'm saying. The reasons we are challenging this particular arrangement is not simply because it's submitted by somebody. It's because of the figures that are in the contract. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So if you see the report and it's confirmed, all of us and the allegations and all that actually there was an overprice of $150, and this is where that $150 million is coming from or is hidden, then we can all be part of that crusade to make sure that either Ameri refunds the money or the government of Ghana doesn't pay for it. But otherwise, if you don't see those papers, and I think that's part of the challenge. So government will do itself a lot of good if it will put out that report to the public to support.
But at the moment, do you have any misgivings about the current agreement as it stands?
Why not? I mean, as I've told you that. Look, the issue about where we got ourselves to in 2015 in the first place, we need to work ourselves out of it and don't get there. And that and what we need to do is that this country, we know that our major power source, was Akosombo. Because of climate issues and all those, we can't rely on Akosombo. We fortunately we have oil and gas discovery. There's a lot of gas that will support feed into our power generation. We have that is even not sufficient, so we have independent power producers. The focus of government, because our population is increasing and our industries and so on are increasing. Government is talking about 1D, 1F and all that. It's all will depend on energy availability. And so it's important to focus to make sure that we have sustainable energy, affordable energy, by the way, because one of the problems in 2015 was that a lot of industries and jobs were lost. So the point I'm making is that I do have issues. And that's why we're so much upset with this, because the challenges of 2015, some of them don't exist today. And what we are being presented is not better than what we got in 2015. In fact, it's worse off. And that's the problem.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Kuyole. You also heard from Pakwesi Anamwa-Sechi. Mr. Kuyole is the head of the Center for Extractives and Development Africa. Mr. Anamwa-Sechi is the head of the Institute for Energy Security. So this has been Corruption Watch. Let me remind you that we all, in our own small way, can help in the fight against corruption. Kindly reach us on the Corruption Watch hotline 055-453-6586 or on WhatsApp number 055-453-6295. Our website is stopcorruptionghana.org. Our partners in Corruption Watch are Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD Ghana, Ghana Integrity Initiative, GII, Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, GACC, Joy 99.7 FM, and Africa Center for International Law and Accountability, ASILA. The sponsor is Strengthening Action Against Corruption, STAC. We'll take these messages. We'll be back to finish it all off. Stay with us.